I, 32M, never thought I'd be writing this, but I need to get it off my chest. 2 days ago, my world came crashing down when I discovered my fiancé's secret life on Seeking Arrangements. The worst part? I found out completely by accident. It started when I was helping my coworker set up his dating profile. He was showing me different dating apps, and that's when he mentioned Seeking Arrangements, joking about how some people use it to find sugar relationships. Something about the way he described the website made me curious, so I checked it out, thinking I'd get a laugh out of it. I wasn't laughing when I saw her profile picture staring back at me. At first, I thought I was seeing things. The profile showed her in that blue dress she wore to my company's Christmas party last year. Her face was partially hidden, but I'd recognize her anywhere. The profile said she was 27 and looking for a mutually beneficial arrangement with someone who could appreciate her expensive tastes. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely screenshot the profile. We've been together for 3 years, engaged for 6 months. I've always known she had expensive taste, the designer bags, the constant shopping sprees, but I thought she was managing it with her corporate job. Now everything started making sense. The mysterious work dinners, the sudden influx of expensive gifts she claimed were from her clients, the weekends away for team building. I didn't confront her immediately. Instead, I started digging. Her profile had been active for over a year, way before our engagement. The thought of her meeting other men while wearing my ring made me physically sick, but I kept scrolling through her activity, each new discovery feeling like a knife in my chest. That night, when she came home from another one of her work dinners, she was wearing a new pair of Louboutins. She kissed my cheek, told me some story about a client gifting them to her team for closing a big deal. I smiled and pretended everything was normal, but inside I was screaming. The next day, I took a sick day from work and went through our shared cloud storage. There they were, hidden in a folder named Work Presentations 2023, dozens of pictures clearly meant for her profile, dating back 18 months. Some were taken in our apartment, in our bedroom, on the furniture we picked out together. I also found email notifications from the website in her archived mail folder. She'd been premium member for the past year. The emails showed conversations with at least 3 different men, all while we were planning our wedding. What kills me is how normal everything seemed. Just last weekend, we were at my parents' house, discussing wedding venues. She sat there, holding my hand, talking about our future together while living this double life. We even set a date for next spring. The engagement ring I gave her cost me 3 months' salary. I remember how her eyes lit up when I proposed, how she called all her friends crying with joy. Was any of it real? Or was I just another source of income for her? I haven't eaten properly in 2 days. I've been sleeping on the couch, claiming I have a bad back. She keeps asking if I'm okay, touching my forehead to check for fever, bringing me soup. Each act of concern feels like another betrayal. Tomorrow, I'm meeting with the lawyer who drafted our prenup. I've already moved most of my important documents to my office and transferred my personal savings to a new account. The lease on our apartment is in my name, and I've documented everything I found. The hardest part isn't even the betrayal. It's realizing that the person I thought I knew better than anyone else is a complete stranger. Every memory we shared is now tainted. Was she thinking about her arrangements when we were picking out our wedding cake? When we were planning our honeymoon? I'm writing this from our spare bedroom, listening to her move around in the kitchen, probably making dinner like nothing's wrong. In 2 hours, her sister is coming over to discuss bridesmaid dresses. They'll probably spend hours looking at color swatches while I sit here, dying inside. The wedding invitations are sitting in a box by the door, ready to be mailed. I guess I should be grateful I found out before they were sent. But right now, all I can feel is numb. Update, 2 days later. I confronted her last night. I didn't plan to do it then. I was going to wait until I had everything in order, but something inside me snapped during dinner. She was sitting there, texting someone with a slight smile on her face, and I just knew she was messaging one of them. It started with me asking to see her phone. She looked surprised but handed it over without hesitation. That confidence made it worse. She had a separate phone. I found it earlier that day, hidden in her gym bag while I was gathering laundry. But I wanted to see if she'd tell me the truth. Is there something you want to tell me? I asked, my voice surprisingly calm. She just looked confused, shaking her head. That's when I pulled out printouts of her Seeking Arrangements profile. The color drained from her face. She tried to grab the papers, but I moved them away. How long have you been looking at that website? She demanded, suddenly aggressive, like I was the one who did something wrong. I laid out everything I knew, the hidden phone, the emails, the secret photo folder. With each revelation, she shifted between denial, anger, and tears. Classic manipulation tactics that I used to fall for. It's not what you think, she said, her voice shaking. Those men mean nothing. It's just business networking. Business networking. That's what she called meeting rich men for money and gifts while wearing my ring. She actually tried to convince me it was all innocent, just dinner meetings with successful businessmen who wanted to mentor her. When she realized I wasn't buying it, she broke down. Told me about her shopping addiction, her credit card debt, how she started this to get ahead in her career. Said she never slept with any of them. They just liked having a beautiful young woman to show off at events. I asked her about the weekend trips, the late-night dinners, the expensive gifts. She had an excuse for everything, but her stories kept changing. One minute these men were innocent mentors, the next they were lonely old guys she felt sorry for. I was going to stop after the wedding, she sobbed. I just needed to pay off some debts. You don't understand the pressure I'm under. That's when she made her biggest mistake. She mentioned our wedding budget, said she'd been saving up to give us the perfect day, that some of these arrangements were to help pay for the venue we both loved. I lost it. Told her I'd rather get married in a parking lot with someone who actually loved me than have a fancy wedding paid for by her sugar daddies. She tried to touch me, to explain more, but I backed away. Don't, I said. Just don't. She spent the next hour alternating between begging for forgiveness and accusing me of spying on her. Said I violated her privacy, that I had no right to go through her things. When that didn't work, she switched to threats, said she'd tell everyone I was abusive, that I drove her to this. I just sat there, recording everything on my phone. Another suggestion from my lawyer. Her threats only confirmed what I already knew. I never really knew her at all. Around midnight, she finally wore herself out. Asked if we could talk about this tomorrow, try to work things out. Said she'd go to therapy, delete her profile, whatever I wanted. But her words felt hollow, rehearsed, like she'd given this speech before. I told her I was staying at a hotel. She tried to stop me from packing a bag, standing in the doorway of our bedroom. You can't just throw away 3 years, she cried. We're supposed to get married. We were supposed to be honest with each other too, I replied. How'd that work out? As I was leaving, she said something that still echoes in my head. I never meant to hurt you. I love you. The others were just for money. Just for money. Like that made it better. I'm writing this from a hotel room now. My phone keeps lighting up with messages from her, each one more desperate than the last. She's called my parents, telling them I'm having some kind of breakdown. Called my best friend too, spinning some story about a misunderstanding. Tomorrow, I'm meeting with the wedding venue to cancel our reservation. Then the caterers, the florist, all the other vendors we booked. My brother's coming with me to pack up more of my stuff from the apartment while she's at work. The funny thing is, I keep thinking about our first date. How she insisted on splitting the bill, saying she didn't want me to think she was that kind of girl. Turns out she was exactly that kind of girl, just not with me. Final update, 1 week later. It's done. The engagement is officially over, and I'm starting to see the light at the end of this nightmare tunnel. The past week has been chaos. After I left that night, she went into full damage control mode. She deleted her seeking arrangements profile, but I already had screenshots of everything. She tried to spin a story to our friends about how I misunderstood her professional networking, but the screenshots I shared with our closest friends told a different story. When that didn't work, she switched tactics. Started telling people I was controlling, that I drove her to seek attention elsewhere. Some mutual friends actually believed her at first. That hurt almost as much as the original betrayal. But then she made a crucial mistake. She drunk-dialed one of her arrangements while at her friend's house. The friend overheard everything. Her planning to meet up with this guy, discussing their arrangement, the whole thing. That friend reached out to me the next day, disgusted by what she'd heard. Suddenly, everyone who'd been on the fence started seeing the truth. The confrontation with her parents was brutal. They came to my office, demanding explanations. I simply showed them the evidence, the profile, the messages, the hidden phone logs. Her mother started crying. Her father just looked broken. They'd already put down deposits for half the wedding expenses. I offered to help them recover the costs, but they refused. Her dad just shook my hand and said, "We raised her better than this." Moving out was surreal. My brother and 2 friends helped me pack while she was at work. We were almost done when she came home early. She stood in the doorway, watching us box up 3 years of memories. Asked if we could talk alone. I refused. Whatever you have to say, you can say it in front of them, I told her. She left without saying another word. Later that night, she emailed me a long confession. Admitted everything. The arrangements had been going on for 2 years, started when she got into serious credit card debt. Said she never slept with any of them, but admitted to going on trips, accepting expensive gifts, and leading them on with promises of more. The worst part? She tried to justify it by saying she did it for us, that she wanted to contribute to our future, help pay for our dream wedding, save for a house. Like somehow betraying our relationship was an investment in it. I didn't reply to the email. The wedding cancellations were surprisingly easy. Most vendors were understanding. Some even offered partial refunds. I donated our deposit for the catering to a local food bank. Somehow, that felt right. Her ring is at a consignment shop. I couldn't stomach the thought of returning it to the jeweler where I spent weeks picking it out. The money from the sale is going to a domestic abuse shelter. Something about that feels like karma. I'm staying with my brother for now, looking for my own place. Started therapy yesterday. The therapist asked what I wanted from these sessions. I said I needed to understand how I missed the signs, how I could have been so blind. She said something that stuck with me. Love doesn't make us blind. It makes us want to see the best in people. Some people take advantage of that. The hardest part now is the quiet moments. When I'm alone and my mind starts wandering to the good times, wondering if they were all lies. But then I remember finding those pictures, reading those messages, and the pain snaps me back to reality. My friends have been amazing. They take turns checking on me, keeping me busy. My boss gave me 2 weeks off to sort everything out. Even my ex-fiance's friend, the one who overheard the phone call, checks in regularly. Yesterday, I drove past our old apartment. Her car was there, and for a split second, my muscle memory almost made me turn into the parking lot. That's when I realized, healing isn't going to be quick or easy. It's going to come in small moments, in conscious choices to keep driving when everything in you wants to turn back. For those wondering why I'm sharing this, it's not for revenge or sympathy. It's because I wish I'd seen the signs earlier. The secret phone, the mysterious gifts, the constant work events that never quite added up. Maybe someone reading this will recognize these signs in their own relationship and save themselves the pain I'm going through. I know there will be hard days ahead. Times when I miss her, when I question everything. But I also know I made the right choice. Because while love might make us want to see the best in people, self-respect makes us face the truth about them. To everyone who's followed this story and offered support, thank you. Your messages helped more than you know. And to anyone else going through something similar, you're stronger than you think. The truth hurts, but living a lie hurts more. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with friends or family who might enjoy it too. Your support means a lot. And if you have any thoughts, questions, or story ideas, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.